Hello, guys, and welcome to the Box to Box podcast here on Project Football. Here's got Tom with me here. This is a bit weird, bit new. This is the first podcast episode that we're going to be doing. These won't be all too common, but it's a good kind of place where we can get a good few topics out of the way and talked about on the channel. They'll all be clipped up and everything, so all of them should be separate. The whole video will probably go up as well. But yeah, Tom, how you doing, mate?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm a bit dead at the minute, but you know what? We love football, don't we? So it doesn't matter.
I'm a Derby fan. I expect you to be dead.
After the new, if you haven't seen the news that's come out recently about Derby, you'll know why. We'll touch on it a bit later in the video. And yeah, just quickly before we start, a couple of new signings for Birmingham. You've covered it quickly on Blues Focus. How do you feel about them?
Very happy, very happy. Some decent business, considering they were both frees as well. Just everything around Blues at the moment is buzzing. You know, we've appointed Craig Gardner as technical director. The whole mood around the place just completely changed. I mean, I watched the interview with Jordan Graham, our latest signing, and he was just saying how the mood around the place is so good, like the best he's ever seen. So, yeah, no, it's high hopes, I suppose. At the moment for Blues, not probably positional wise in the league table come the end of the season, but definitely for a comfortable season. That's what we're looking at, and it's all about just building for the future. But Ryan Woods on a free, considering how much he went to Stoke for originally, is a steal. And he was so good at Brentford and Shrewsbury before he moved to Stoke. So yeah, no, if we can bring that back out of him, then great. I think, Blues have needed a spine for a while, and he's perfect for that. So, no, very exciting times at Blues and some shrewd business.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I can't really say the same for high hopes at Derby, but like I said, that's another topic for a later date, shall we say? But yeah, let's just get straight into it. The big kind of news at the minute that's been circling is a £50 million bid's been put in by Arsenal for Ben White at Brighton. I mean, I've been quite vocal in my opinions on this in the group chat. I think it's safe to say that. What are your initial thoughts on that? 50 million.
It's far too much. Far too much. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean I don't think he could be worth that one day, but I just don't think he's anywhere near that price tag right now. But isn't that just modern football all over? Like,
It screams modern football, English, inflation.
exactly. It's just not right. I feel like, Mikel Arteta has been rumoured to have been given a £250 million budget for this transfer window.
That's
And
mental in itself, by the way.
I was going to say, where Arsenal have scooped that money from, I don't know, considering they couldn't even afford to pay for bloody Gunnosaurus a few months ago. So, where 250 mil has turned up from, I don't know. Um, but if that's true, then I feel like 50 million on Ben White is silly, really silly. You could buy a whole new squad that could challenge for top six with 250 million pounds. Like
Mm.
straight up, I don't know why you'd waste 50 million of it on Ben White when you could probably pick up someone just as good from a foreign country for about 10 million. So, for me, that's just poor recruitment, really poor recruitment, lazy recruitment, actually. And to be honest, it just sounds like kind of hopping on the bandwagon of what you've heard in the news, who's good, sort of thing. It doesn't even sound like there's been any in-depth scouting into this. Just sounds very amateurish. I'm sure that's probably not the case, but 50 million for Ben White, really? Come on,
Mm.
lads. Let's just get it together. Realize what you're about to do, and maybe look at something more realistic, which for me, I believe, is more like 20 million pounds or
Yeah.
25 million pounds.
I mean,
There.
Arsenal fans, let us know in the comments if you're watching. But yeah, I definitely like. It's hard for us to say because we're both neutrals in this situation. We've both seen Ben White in the Championship as well as Leeds. Uh, I like Ben White as a player. Don't I don't want this to kind of gloss over how good of a player that he is because look, I don't think he's worth 50 million in a million years, but I guess, but that's just that's good business from Brighton for one. But I guess it kind of tells us where Arsenal, if 250 million budget is true, it kind of tells us where Arsenal are planning to go down with this because Ben White's a good footballer. He's a good ball playing centre back, right? And he can play midfield as well. But my view on Arsenal from the outside is that they concede a lot of sloppy goals. And I don't think scoring goals has always been a problem for them. But I think defending has and keeping clean sheets has. And I think you'll always find me saying this. I love a team that builds a strong spine. I don't think Ben White fits into that. I think he's a bit of a lightweight defender. I think he could easily get bullied. I don't think he's aerially amazing. This comes after they've not long spent 30 million on Saliba as well, who hasn't even played a game for them yet. I know that wasn't under Arteta.
I was going to say they're looking at loaning him to Newcastle, so it seemed pointless.
It wasn't under Arteta, which I understand. I mean, it looks like he might be going back to Stuttgart, but yeah, I definitely like Ben White as a footballer. Don't get me wrong, I don't think he's in the 50 million bracket, but like I said, I think it just kind of shows where Arsenal are going to go. They want the ball. They want the ball. Don't get me wrong, we could be looking back on this in a season's time and could look complete fools in Arsenal getting the top four again, which I can't be honest, I can't see happening at the minute. But
no.
But yeah, I feel like, well, Arsenal fans, let us know in the comments if you're watching. But me personally, I think 50 million is a lot for a player it improves your defense, but is it really, really what you want? You know what I mean? Like, is it really going to make Arsenal keep more clean sheets? I don't really know.
For me personally, I feel like Arsenal's defensive woes are big, and to put that on the shoulders of young Ben White is far too much. Far too much.
It puts a lot of pressure on the player, by the way.
Exactly, and bearing in mind the price tag pressure that would be on there as well, that's enough as it is. So I just don't think it's a good move for anybody, not even Ben White. But I mean, if he's willing to handle that, then fair play to him. And it wouldn't surprise me if he relished it. You know, he's relished the pressure in an England shirt so far. So there's no reason why he couldn't, surprise everybody. We've seen it before. I mean, Virgil van Dijk was never expected to do as well as he did at Liverpool for the price tag, but he did. So, no, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it develops. But for me, I feel like they could have gone for cheaper options, even someone like Pau Torres, like just anyone. But I suppose that could be, Arsenal fans might say, oh, we've had signings like that before, like Socrates, and look how that worked out. Or even Mustafi, they have had them sort of players. And I suppose, going for a kind of an English defender, young and up and coming, would be quite retro Arsenal, really. They were always ones for like solid English centre backs back in the day. So I suppose to bring back that culture would be interesting. But I think Arsenal, it might be good for them in that sense, because Arsenal need to find themselves again. And if reverting back to previous methods from even so long ago, despite possibly being outdated, if you can kind of modify that and adapt to that, then you could start to turn the club's DNA round again back to where it should be. But it's a long process and it's a bit of a gamble. But right now, I just don't really see what Mikel Arteta is trying to prove with this signing. But it's not on paper. Ben White's a quality player. It's not a bad signing, but for the money, it is a poor signing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Don't get me wrong. There is advantages to signing Ben White, but I guess it comes down to what they need. I mean, that's what a lot of their budget took up already by that signing. There's a lot of things wrong with Arsenal, and we can talk all day about Arsenal if we wanted to. But
True.
as neutrals, I think it's best we just see how this pans out at the minute. They're in advanced talks at this stage. What that really means, I don't know. But yeah, 50 mil for a 23-year-old who's played. Don't even think he's played 50 games in the Premier League yet. It's quite a gamble. Might come off, but we'll have to see, won't we? But yeah, that's kind of it on that. And we'll move kind of swiftly down to the Championship. to a relegated team from the Premier League, and that is the Baggies, West Bromwich Albion. They've just announced Sam Allardyce's successor. That
I think
is
about to say they've just announced Sam Allardyce. Oh, Jesus.
no Sam Allardyce's successor. Tom, come on.
Sorry.
I'll let you say his name because I've not quite learnt it yet. But it's the bloke from Barnsley.
The bloke from Barnsley, Valerian Ismail.
Not actually from Barnsley. I think he's French, but
Yeah.
yeah, he took Barnsley to the playoffs last year, finished in fifth. Yeah, he's been announced as West Brom's new head coach, which is, I think it's a shock, to be honest. I was expecting him to kind of continue with this project at Barnsley that he'd started. You know, bringing all, they're all kind of young players as well. They haven't really spent a significant amount of money recently at all, to be honest. I think their marquee signing of the summer was really Daryl DK, and that was only on a loan. So
I think you'll see Daryl DK go to West Brom now, though.
there's a possibility. I mean, they've got the money. You know, they've got
They've got the
parachutes.
money. I wouldn't be surprised to see Alex Mowat go to West Brom. You know, he's still not agreed a deal with Barnsley. I think that is a very, very likely deal. And one other, possibly, you know, you could look at possibly Hellick. Hellick could go to West Brom, or even Callum Styles, players like that.
All of these players are well deserving of a move as well. By the way, they were
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic last year.
I
Michael
think they
Hellick,
take it as well.
yeah, Michael Hellick, Styles, all these players were absolutely terrific last year. Don't get me wrong, a different kind of style of football to the way West Brom were kind of playing in the Championship before. They liked to have the ball a little bit more before. I can't. Whereas at Barnsley was not fully direct, but they liked to get the ball forward very quickly, no messing about. They did lump it up if they could. They did have Daryl DK up there.
Very high press.
Yeah, very high press, very energetic team, but they were definitely beatable. But yeah, they clinched playoffs in the end. But yeah, I was surprised at that. I thought he was going to kind of build there at West Brom.
It's a shame
Sorry, at
because I can
Barnsley,
only
not
see
West Brom.
Barnsley. It's a shame because I can only see Barnsley falling from here, to be honest.
Well, you never know. We always think Barnsley were going to fall,
Well, yeah,
and they
we
didn't.
always thought. Yeah, we always thought Barnsley would fall after Struber leaving, but they didn't. So
Exactly. So we'll just have to see. In terms of the actual managerial appointment itself, aside from signings, what are your thoughts of him actually at West Brom? How do you think he'll do?
I think it is really one of those kind of toss of a coin 50-50s. He'll either get them playing exactly how he got Barnsley playing and it'll work, or he'll figure out that the squad there isn't capable of playing the style he wants to play, which I think is a very likely possibility. But having said that, that West Brom side is a quality side, and there's no reason why they couldn't adapt to Ismail's style of football, but is very physically demanding. Very similar to Bielsa in that sense, you know, that physical demand, that need for everyone has to be fully committed all the time, constant pressure, you know, die for the team attitude, which, you know, might be tough for a few of those West Brom players. But there's no reason why it couldn't work out. But I do think a lot of transfer business needs to be done at West Brom because they are nowhere near ready yet for the season. I'd say of the three that have come down, West Brom are the least prepared, despite probably having the better season of the three. Maybe not so much Fulham, but still, though, I just don't think they're as prepared as the other sides. You know, Sheffield United have still kept quite a few of their players, but West Brom look like they're going to be losing a few and have already lost a few. So, yeah, if they lose Pereira, then that's going to be a big hole to fill.
Yeah, it's
Right,
definitely a big
Alex
hole.
Mowatt.
It would definitely. To be honest, I wouldn't. It wouldn't shock me Pereira leaving anyway. I actually disagree in terms of them being the least prepared clubs coming down. I feel like Fulham. Well, I don't think they're all massively prepared compared to like a Watford were last season or a Norwich, say. But I think
Fulham will certainly be behind on transfers.
they will be, and the managerial speculation does play on that a little bit. We don't really know what's happening with that yet. Sheffield United are, yeah, like you say, they've kept a lot of their players, but they have also changed manager who plays a different style to Chris Wilder.
Yeah.
Wilder was obviously linked with Baggies as well at one point, but
yeah.
but yeah, I guess we'll just have to see where that goes. I mean, a more open championship's better for me. But I think with parachutes, with especially Sheffield United coming down as well, um, I think it will make for an interesting window. But in terms of the actual appointment, I actually quite like it. It's not it's quite risky, but if the risk comes off, then I feel like the club will actually be better off from it. And I feel like if they give him a few seasons, give him a few windows, I feel like they they have a chance of not becoming this yo-yo club anymore.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, this is only based off half a season really at Barnsley, but that's how highly I kind of rate him and the job they did there. When he took over, they were relatively low in the table as well, weren't they?
Yep.
So yeah, that kind of just
If
says
he
it
can
all.
do that with that group of players, then there's no reason why he can't do it with a bigger quality of players. For me, it's all down to Ismail's transfer business, and if he looks at bringing in some of the Barnsley lads, then at least they're faces that he can trust and know can play the way that he wants to play. But you can't just rely on that because you can't guarantee all of them will be allowed to leave or even leave, other than probably Moet. Um, but I really feel like, although he might have, you could say, he got lucky with the signing of Daryl DK. That takes some serious. That's I'd say that takes some serious scouting to find a player like that, because he's not exactly in the most obvious league you'd search him for a striker. So signing a striker from the MLS, it's quite weird these days.
Mm.
You rarely see it. So
I mean,
no, I
Swansea
think
did it, didn't they? With who did they sign? They signed from someone from Seattle, I think. I can't remember the
was
lad's name.
what wasn't Michu, was it?
No, it was it's really quick player. I can't remember what his name was now. I don't know how well he did, but he came over from Seattle anyway. But yeah, MLS isn't really the first league you'd look to,
No.
especially in the championship. But yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes. Good luck to him. Baggies fans, let us know in the comments how you feel about that. I quite like the look of it. To be fair, from an outsider's perspective, and
It's
yeah,
exciting.
mm, yeah, and given some windows. I mean, players from at Barnsley like Styles and Hellick won't be let go on the cheap. Obviously,
No.
Mowat looks like he's leaving on a free anyway at this point. But yeah, with a decent window and some decent backing, I don't see why Ishmael couldn't do well.
Before we wrap up on this topic, I've got two quick fire questions for you, Brandon. If you were Baggy's boss, if you were Ismail, would you rather take Hellick, Mowat, or Styles?
Oh God,
Forget the transfer fees, just think about the player.
God, you'll have to give me a minute to think about that. Jesus.
Obviously, if it was transfer fees, you'd go Mowat because you can get them on free at the moment. But
I think Styles. You know,
really, I'd
I
have
th-
gone Hellick.
I think that I was close to saying Hellick, but my theory behind it is I feel like they're a bit weaker at left back than they are at centre back. Think
They
he's going
have
to change.
recently let go of Kieran Gibbs as well.
They have let go of Kieran Gibbs, and their other one is Townsend, I believe.
Yeah,
Um, he's capable playing. Don't get me wrong, but
you're right.
or is he up for the Ishmael system? I don't really know. I doubt it. They might have other options. I don't really know off the top of my head, but
Connor
it's
Townsend, I think it is.
yeah, it's centre back. I think they've got some half decent options there. Don't
Ajayi, Bartley,
I
you
still think
know.
they need strengthening, especially I don't know about strengthening, but they need players that I guess more suited to his system, like Hellick, for example. But I feel like Styles would probably be a bit more important because I think even in midfield they've got like Livermore and so on. So I don't know. We'll just have to see, won't we?
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's fair. And then my other quick question for you was, if you had to put your money on one championship side winning the league right now, who would it be?
Oh, you're gonna drop me in it like that, Jesus.
I
Um,
planned these beforehand.
it's hard at the minute because we're filming this on the 24th of June, about 11:30 as well, by the way.
Still, still plenty of time till the season. So,
Still plenty of time and loads of business still to go.
but
I'll be
right.
honest, at the minute, I honestly couldn't give you a winner at the minute. Why? Who do you think?
Honest, I don't have a team. I was just curious who you would say. I mean, if I had to say, if you were looking at a team on paper, I'd probably edge, depending on who Fulham appoint. If Fulham appoint well and fast, then I'd easily back Fulham. But right now, I'm backing Sheffield United.
I think it has to be one of the teams coming down for me, but without seeing them yet under new managers, I don't know. I couldn't call it yet.
If
I couldn't call it yet.
Swansea's business are good, then there's no reason why they couldn't challenge.
I do, yeah, it's true. I'm not sold on Swansea at the minute, to be honest. But ask me close to the start of the season, I might be able to give you a better answer.
We'll do Championship predictions probably a couple of weeks before the season starts anyway, so keep an eye out for that, guys.
Chat for the video. But yeah, moving on, we're going to go on to a bit more of an England-related topic now. It's really unfortunate what's happened, I guess, with the Mount and Chilwell isolation saga, especially with Gilmore being the only Scotland player that had to isolate. It doesn't really matter now in terms of Scotland are already out, so it's not like they've got an advantage or whatever going into final games. But yeah, Chilwell and Mount out. It looks like they're possibly going to be out for the. Well, they say they're in contention for that game, for the round of 16 game, but I'm not so sure. I feel like if you're coming, I think did they come back the day before the game or the day of the game? Their isolation period. I don't think that's enough.
No, it won't be enough to get them in the squad. I think you won't see them back until the quarters if we make it past that stage. But I won't lie to you. So far, Mount and Chile, and even though Chilwell wasn't playing anyway, I firmly believe Mason Mount being left out has turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Although it pains me, it really does pain me. I hate Jack Grealish with every fibre of my human being. He was phenomenal the other day. He was just unbelievable. All over the place. He was everything England needed. And although Mason Mount, don't get me wrong, he's not performed badly so far in this tournament. He's been kind of in and out at times, here and there. But Grealish was just something else in that game against the Czech Republic. Really made the team tick. The only player that outshone him was Bukayo Saka, who, by the way, I think needs to start the next game. He certainly staked his claim. I wouldn't have backed him, but he has. I never rated him for a while. I thought Arsenal fans it was just all kind of talk, to be honest. I didn't really back it from things I saw. I thought some of his goals were a little bit fluky, but his work rate's fantastic. So no, it'd be exciting to see if Gareth picks him for the round of 16.
Yeah, no, I agree about Saka, to be fair, but yeah, in terms of Chilwell, anyway, yeah, like you say, he's not had a game yet, which I don't think he will. To be honest, at this point, I can't see us playing a third left back. There's been talks about a possibility of playing a back three for the next game. We're not going to go into loads of detail about that
I've
game.
Seen that.
Yeah, we'll have a more kind of in-depth video about that coming out not long before the game. We've still got 4 or 5 days yet till that. But yeah, Chilwell's kind of just behind Shaw and maybe even Trippier at this point anyway. But in terms of Mount, yeah, I agree. It's not lit the tournament a lot so far. We've only really scored 2 goals anyway, haven't we? But
yeah,
coming from a point of derby bias, I do like the energy that he does bring to the side. Depending on the system Southgate goes with in the end against Germany, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he comes back in the team.
It wouldn't surprise me, no. Gareth Southgate loves Mason Mount.
I don't think it's a question of his fitness, because I feel like they are doing work away from the main training group around St George's Park and stuff. But it's maybe to be fair, the only really excuse you can come up with other than that is the fact he's not trained with the team and he's not been in tactical meetings and so on. But I'm sure they can get him in on a Zoom call or something. I know it's not the same, but he's not spoke to him, kind of person to person. So I honestly won't be surprised for him to be in the team. I won't be surprised. I feel like a lot of people would probably kick off, especially if he comes in for Grealish. But yeah, like you say, Grealish was excellent in that other game, and so was Saka. So it's Gev Southgate with a headache, but a good headache. Right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, good headache, isn't it? There's no when you're struggling to who to pick, it's never a bad headache. But I suppose back to more of the isolation topic. How have none of the Scotland players had to isolate? Is my question.
It is a very strange one.
Dodgy.
I think a lot of England fans have felt quite strongly about this as well.
Exactly, and for me, it just sounds like UEFA have completely bottled it and just gone, "Oh, we'll pick his Chelsea teammates." You know, that's the easiest way to go about it. Yeah, pretty much every player on that pitch, every Scotland player, every England player touched Billy Gilmore after that
Yeah,
game because
it's
everyone
very strange.
congratulates each other. It is just the most unfair thing I've ever seen, and I feel bad for Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell because it is like low key Chelsea discrimination, if you will. But yeah, no, I do feel really bad for them, particularly Mason Mount because he's been in the side regularly, and he could potentially lose his spot now to Grealish. Um, that being down to UEFA, and I just think it's really lazy, really lazy. And they both tested negative as well. Can we just point that out? They both tested negative for COVID, yet they are still being forced to isolate. That's fine. Um,
It's
here we
very
are.
weird. It's very weird. Don't
It
you?
stinks, to be honest.
I don't think COVID is black and white enough, to be honest. But I mean, a chat about COVID is a thing for another day, isn't it? Really, and what
That's for a non-football podcast. That one, mate.
non-football podcast. To be fair, it can be in any podcast.
Right.
It's just I don't know. I guess a lack of clarity, a few different contradictions from governing bodies and so on.
They
But
make it as they go along.
it feels like that, doesn't it? In terms of even up to the government. But yeah, unfortunate for the two. It hasn't impacted Scotland in terms of giving them an advantage. Luckily, really.
Yeah, you
So
still see you later.
at least they're out. See you later, boys. But yeah, England fans, viewers, let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. What your thoughts are about that, and it's unfortunate, but we just got to deal with it, haven't we?
Exactly. Did you hear that, Brandon? I'm pretty sure I heard the cheers from Glasgow. I'm pretty sure it was the lifting of the 0-0 Wembley trophy.
Oh god, definitely heard it.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, well done, lads. There's your trophy.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of sticking with the England topic here, we're going to move on to Harry Kane, which is probably one of the bigger topics around England at the minute within the Euros. Yet to score a goal, obviously. His performance against Czech was definitely improved. Although England, to be fair, still only scored 2 goals in the group. Have they scored the least amount of goals in the group and still won it? Well, no.
Yes.
Well, Scotland have scored 1, haven't they? But 2 goals and getting.
I'm
7
pretty
points.
sure we've scored the least amount of goals in the tournament.
Wouldn't surprise me, but we've kept it. We've got 3 clean sheets.
I think North Macedonia have scored more goals than we have.
That would not surprise me.
I think they've bagged 3. So
there you go then. But yeah,
defense wins championships. So it has to be said.
with championships. You're right. But yeah, a big part of England not scoring as many goals is kind of down to the form of Harry Kane. It does seem like a form thing at this point. Don't get me wrong, I don't think the whole transfer saga is playing on his mind. I just don't think Kane's that type of player. But I feel like the improved Kane against Czech was helped by the introduction of Grealish and Saka. They were a lot more mobile, kind of in and around him, whereas players like Foden, I felt were a bit too kind of static at times.
Yeah.
And that didn't really help Mount. I think Mount's defensive work rate kind of works against that as well. Hence, he's not kind of as close to Kane as interchangeable.
Kane finally got a shot off.
He did get a shot, didn't he? Actually, yeah, you're right. But yeah, a bit more link up. I think Saka suited him. Saka was brilliant, by the way. And Grealish as well. It just felt a bit more fluent, kind of with that front four. And there weren't certain things, Foden being too static and Mount, I guess, being a lot more of a hard-working defensive player. Not defensive player, but hard-working in, the defensive area of his game, kind of working against Kane. I guess that comes down to a bit of the formation as well. Maybe if it was more of like a 4-3-3 with another natural 8 alongside Mount, like a Ward-Prowse or something, then he'd have a bit more license to get forward, but he doesn't. That's not well, that's not the route where I'm
I
going. Don't
had to
worry.
sneak in and mention a Ward-Prowse, didn't you?
Or Bellingham then. Bellingham then. Whatever. It's not. It's aside from the point. Aside from the point. Um, but yeah, I think Kane benefited from that massively. Sterling as well improved again. But what are your kind of views on Kane so far in the tournament?
I think he's just been unlucky. I think maybe at times you could criticise his positioning, but every striker has their off days. And you know what? I've heard some horrific comments saying, Kane's overrated, this, that, and the other. I'm sorry. The bloke is, if not the best striker in the Premier League. Everyone has their off days. You won the Golden Boot in the World Cup. You don't just do that easily. But we are a different team to the World Cup, a very different team, and we rely on wing play a lot more. Um, and we just, I feel sorry for Kane because the service to him has been poor up until probably the last game where he did get a bit of service but was unlucky not to score, and that's on him. However, the first two games, I don't particularly blame Kane because there was no clear cut chances that he had. Or I suppose you could, pick out his positioning for that, but we didn't really put in many crosses into kind of that central striking area. It was always kind of every cross felt like it was going over to the other side.
Mm.
And then we'd pass it to the edge of the box and look to shoot from the edge of the box, or kind of wiggle our way in with a tricky player like Sterling or Grealish or Foden. The way we're playing doesn't suit Harry Kane whatsoever. And that Czech Republic game, in fairness, Jack Grealish is actually playing a bit more to Harry Kane's strengths and
Same with
bringing
Saka
it
as well.
exactly, bringing him into the game more. So, you want a striker like Kane in form in this tournament. So I'd continue to play the likes of Saka and Grealish to get the best out of him. Because realistically, how many Spurs players are in that squad that Kane is used to playing with, particularly
Mm.
attacking players? Fuck
Yeah,
all.
exactly.
So, it's although, we used to be playing with the England squad, international football isn't as regular. It's nowhere near as regular as league football. So he'll be so used to just one way and one way only. And, like you say, I don't think the transfer saga will affect him too much, but it'll be in the back of his mind. And, if he's not performing, then he could get too desperate because he'll be wondering, oh, I'm not performing, I'm not convincing. And that those sort of thoughts can come into your mind, and then he'll try too hard. And it's like Alvaro Morata, a prime example of a striker that tries too hard and just ends up looking awful.
I feel sorry
Uh,
for Morata sometimes. He tries so hard, bless him.
Poor guy, but yeah, no, I think Kane's just had a rough tournament, and Southgate isn't playing to his strengths. But that last game, I think I wouldn't even say it's Southgate's fault. I'd just say it's the players he's playing with. They're not really the style of player you want around Harry Kane. But Saka and Grealish certainly seem like they'd be a good match for Kane. So that was good to see, really good to see. And I feel like if he's around those players more, particularly Grealish, then we'll start to see a bit more of the normal Harry Kane, if you will.
Yeah, I feel like what you can kind of look into as well is the fact that all the other three, okay, maybe not Croatia, but Scotland and Czech Republic are much kind of more defensive-minded teams. Low blocks, not much space between the lines, kind of thing. Croatia are a bit different, but Croatia are a very good team on the ball. They've got one of the best midfielders, so I guess it's hard to have as much joy on the ball as you would kind of against the other teams. But I feel like coming up against Germany in the round of 16 can help that. They're a lot more expansive. They play with a high line. They play with wing backs, which it might play into. I don't know. It's hard to say because we're obviously talking about Grealish and Saka deserving a place. Sterling kind of as well. Sterling was great as well, by the way, against Czech. But then you're leaving out your likes of Foden and your Mount and so on.
Yeah.
But also you have to look at Germany and the fact that their wing backs are so effective, and they were so effective against Portugal, Gozens and Kimmich. So I think I think a formation change to their strength isn't the worst thing in the world. It's not. It's
It's
not like
really not.
it's
It's
not a
really
massive. It's
not.
not like they're all of a sudden playing a system they've never played before. You know what I mean? They all know what the role is in a back five.
Gareth Southgate has made this England team play that system before, so it's not like it's abnormal. And plus, if I've learned anything in football, particularly recently, Lee Bowyer, the reason why he got the results he did in the last 10 games for Blues and defied the odds really was because every game he just set up to match teams, and outwork them, not outplay them, outwork them. And you'll find over time, outworking a team, you'll eventually outplay them. Everything comes in due time, but the hard work is the most important part, and that's why players get selected for international football. You don't tend to see stars always make it into the team like Jack Grealish. Hard work will get you into that team. That's the best way to put it for me.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll be making a video on that Germany game soon, obviously. So we're not going to touch too much onto it. But yeah, like I say, if we match Germany up and we work harder than them, then we can beat them. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean?
Simple as that, yeah.
But yeah, that might have impacts in terms of Kane, in terms of the players that he has around him because of the different formation. You're taking out a midfielder for another defender. But yeah, let's not descend into sack
Dwell on it
Southgate
too much.
into sack Southgate too early. But yeah, in terms of Kane, hasn't happened for him yet. But it doesn't matter. He's still so key to this team.
The only way Southgate gets sacked in this tournament for me is if we make it to the semis and we play Wales. If we lose to Wales in the semis, which is highly unlikely, but if by some weird circumstance that happened, I would demand he was sacked instantly. I am not, I repeat, not having Wales in the final.
We have
I
already beat them
refuse.
3-0 in a friendly recently, but yeah, I feel
Yeah,
that I wouldn't.
yeah.
I definitely wouldn't have him sacked or anything. But if we beat Germany and then get knocked out by a weak team, it's a very England thing to do. Actually, we'll actually run into Sweden in the
John,
quarterfinals as well.
if Ukraine knock us out, I don't care. Well, I do care, but he can keep his job. If we lose to Wales, that's it. Ta-ta. See you later, Gareth. Off back on the train with your 12th place finish.
Let's hope we don't run into Wales then.
Exactly, yeah. So,
But yeah,
yeah, it is what
yeah,
it is.
that's kind of it on Kane anyway, guys. So again, England fans, let us know. Tottenham fans, let us know what are your thoughts on that. And yeah, we're going to kind of move on now to kind of back down to club football and a quick summary about Derby. My team, not because I'm Derby biased, but because Derby have been in the news quite a bit recently, last night at 11:30 at night, basically, FFP has come to bite us
Wake
in
up
the
news I've
arse.
ever had.
I mean, I didn't see it till about midday today, to be honest. I wasn't really on Twitter, but yeah, FFP has come to bite us in the arse again. The EFL has come to bite us in the arse again. We'll make a full video on it soon. We'll probably get Adam on the channel as well to talk about that.
We should get Kieran back.
Kieran would be a good person to talk to. He's actually been on BBC Radio Derby today, I think. So I need to get my hands on that somewhere. Amortization definitely came up somewhere, but
exactly.
But
Guys,
yeah,
if you haven't seen it already, we have done a video with Kieran Maguire over on the Goal Hanger channel. Go check it out.
A lot has changed since then as well, which is
true.
But yeah, like I said, we'll make a full video on that soon with Adam and maybe even Kieran. We'll enter discussions. We'll enter discussions, but yeah, basically what's happened for anyone that doesn't know, anyone outside of Derby County is we might actually be facing the points deduction. Obviously, if you're not aware, the EFL appealed a decision which, to be honest, it was that long ago now. I can't even remember what the decision was. This has honestly been hanging on for 18 months now. Like it's as a Derby fan, it's draining. And to be honest, I just want it to come to a conclusion, whatever it is. I just want it to end. But yeah,
I want to know if I'm going to Pride Park or Adams Park. It's not hard.
Yeah, I want to know if I'm going to Pride Park or bloody Mickleover, mate. So yeah, essentially it's all over player amortization for, I can't remember what the exact years were. I think it's 2015 to 18, something like that. And yeah, the club basically the EFL then go on to make a statement without agreeing something with Derby. Usually both parties agree to make a statement together, but that didn't happen, which kind of shows the toxic relationship we have with the English Football League. But yeah, essentially the club disagrees, and the EFL have since decided to make interchangeable fixtures, which kind of leads on to all the make-ups as they go along, kind of thing. But yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about it.
Derby threw their dollies out the pram at the sight of the interchangeable fixtures. How they disagree with it thoroughly.
I hope something
statement.
comes out.
I'm sorry. I just loved seeing every Derby fan when that statement came down. Like, oh yeah, come on, Derby, yeah, acting all big bollocks over a statement. Yeah, some geezers just typed that, thinking, oh, we're not standing for this. No matter what happens, it won't happen. We won't allow it.
I didn't even say anything, mate. I'm just like, oh god, here we go again. To quote Adam, it's all going wrong.
It's not exactly like someone's just whipped out an AK and started shooting up the fucking EFL headquarters. Like, calm down. Come on.
To be fair, with our feuds with the EFL, I wouldn't write that off in any way, shape, or form. Mel whipping out the big guns.
I'm sure the bed sheets will be out.
Maybe so. But yeah, that's just all we need to talk about, really. Let's just hope something positive comes out over the next few days. And I'm not feeling confident in
definitely
saying
make
that.
a separate video on that.
Definitely, I'm not feeling confident in saying that either, by the way. So yeah, let's just hope. On a positive note, the League Cup draw was done, Tom. Rooney versus the class of '92 is one of the headliners. We always seem to be in the headlines for some reason. Under Lampard, we played Chelsea. When Rooney was a player, we played Man United.
You played Barrow.
When Lampard was the manager, he faced Jose Mourinho, and now it's Rooney versus the class of '92. It's all fixed. No, it's not fixed. Maybe, I don't know.
Sometimes I wonder.
You do wonder sometimes, don't you? But Rooney versus the class of '92. What an occasion that will be, Thomas.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Obviously, a club that Wayne Rooney will be familiar with, since his former comrades pretty much own the joint.
Gary Neville's been giving it all on Twitter, so
of course he has. To be fair, it would honestly save this clip right now. In a year's time, it would not surprise me if Wayne Rooney was Salford City manager. On God, I would not be surprised if
that, wouldn't they? They'd absolutely love that.
Tell me that if Derby went down, you couldn't see Wayne Rooney becoming Salford manager, because I think there's every chance they get promoted this season.
I think Derby will be in the bin at this point, to be honest. But yeah, that's just one of the many draws. Anyway, we'll move on to your team, Birmingham City. Colchester at home. Wow.
Realistically on paper, it should be piss easy, but it's Blues, so it will never be easy. However, you look at last season. I think, if I'm not mistaken, our first League Cup game was against Cambridge, and we lost. So make of that what you will. I'm pretty sure we lost 1-0 at home to Cambridge United, but they did go on to win the league, may I point out.
we only edged past Barrow on penalties last year, lads. So and we also got knocked out of the FA Cup by, I can't even remember now. Not a National League team. Who was it?
What's it? Oh, is it like Gateshead or something?
Oh God, no, I don't think so.
Bromley.
No, I can't remember. You insert it here somewhere. Look it up somewhere. Insert it here. Yeah, we've not got in recent seasons, not got the best of records in the cup, have we? Since Lampard's when we knocked out Southampton and Man United. But oh well, we're just gonna have to deal with it. Birmingham are as well. At least you're not playing Blythe Spartans.
To
At
be
least you don't
fair,
have to go through that again.
yeah, we beat Crawley 6-0. Like, is either 6-0 or 5-0 about 4 years ago. I just hope this has that kind of vibe. Preferably would be nice. However, yeah, Blythe Spartans wasn't pretty. 2-0 down at half time. Never great to a National League North team. Not exactly one you want on the resume.
I think they were lower than that actually, but
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure they're National League North now. Whether they were lower than that at the time, who knows?
is that the game where the bar scored a
Oh,
brace?
what did you say?
I said, was that the game where the bartender scored a brace for
Yes,
Blythe?
yes, he did. And then second half, Blues, just pulled it out of nowhere. Lee Novak with a banger, and then Wes Thomas with 2 headers.
I remember
And
Wes Thomas.
yeah, Wes Thomas, what a beast! And then turned it round and we won 3-2. Luckily enough, I just remember all the fat chants towards their goalkeeper. It was quite funny. He took it well, to be fair.
Yeah. Oh, mixed memories in the cup, eh? Mixed memories in the cup.
Fact.
Some other draws as well. Sheffield United, Carlisle was a good one. Sutton versus Cardiff. Sheffield United versus Carlisle. Did I say Carlisle? I meant Carlisle. And then Sutton versus Cardiff, which was the other one. That's another good one, by the way, because Sutton have just gone up to League Two, haven't they?
Yeah, they have just been
So,
promoted.
yeah, that'll be very. Oh, of course they are, because they're in the League Cup. Oh, I'll tell you what. It's late, guys. Let me off.
Silly goose.
It's off there, but yeah, some interest. Hopefully, Derby beats Salford, but I'll be honest, I wouldn't even back us to beat bloody. I can't even think of another national team. Hashtag United at the minute, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I back us to beat Colchester like 2-0, something like that. 2-0, 3-0. I hope. I pray. But in fairness, Colchester have done some decent business so far this season, so they're definitely on the up after a poor season
Some
last
lower
season.
league teams do some decent business, under the radar.
They sign retro championship bangers all the time. All the time. I mean, Wes Houlihan single-handedly got Cambridge promoted. Just throwing that out there.
I like it as well, to be fair, for some players. I love it if Derby, actually. In terms of, we're making a separate video in terms of transfers for clubs. That's a good idea, actually. Keep that one noted. But yeah, I love the look of Elliot Moore at Oxford, and he's not he's in the Premier League now with Brentford, but Charlie Good, who was in League Two in Northampton. Two very good centre backs. So I just love.
Well, I mean, I've told you about Elliot Moore. I creamed over him when I first watched him. He was so amazing.
Who was his partner as well?
Rob Atkinson. Rob Atkinson's linked with the Championship move this summer. So I went to scout for Cambridge. In fact, Cambridge. I went to go and watch Oxford versus Burton Albion. And that was where I first saw Elliot Moore, and that was in a 5-1 absolute just
Burton, wasn't it?
bashing. Yeah, bashing of Burton 5-1. And Elliot Moore was just a tank. Like, he was unbelievable. Rob Atkinson was good too. I mean, Rob Atkinson has won Young Player of the Year, I think, over there. And he's tipped for big things. I think he's linked to Sheffield United at the moment for a big money move. But Elliot Moore's certainly gone under the radar. He's the difference between Elliot Moore and Rob Atkinson. Rob Atkinson's more technically gifted, but Elliot Moore is a lot more of a leader, much more of a leader.
Yeah, he's a big guy, and he's like 6'5", and he's 24,
Exactly.
I think now he is. Yes, they're still relatively young. He's a bit of a battering ram, which, to be honest, I actually quite like the look of. A lot of Derby fans like the pretty football, which I don't mind as well. But I love a good battering ram here and there. But
100%. I just remember gassing over him when I first saw him. I thought he was unreal. And the only time I've been disappointed with him really was in the playoffs. He didn't really step up to the plate, but I don't think the entire Oxford squad stepped up to the plate. Yeah. And I think a big side of that was Carl Robinson not being on the touchline. But I mean, that's a story for another day.
It is a story, yeah.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, by the way, did you want to chat about the fixture release?
We can track briefly about the fixture release if you'd like. I mean, I know absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah, you don't. You got no certainty.
Because we haven't exactly got a proper fixture list. It's hard for me to really look into it properly. But yeah.
Of course, yeah. Well,
Take leave of that.
I'm happy to chat about it. Obviously, if you are in the Championship next season, you will be playing Huddersfield at home. What are your thoughts on that as an opener?
Huddersfield at home. The start of something really, really bad. I've got the feeling.
The start of something new, something bright.
Oh, I wish I could say that. The start of the end, beginning of the end. That'd be my famous quote of the day for
The
that.
lowest Championship point tally in history. That's what's on the cards, Brandon.
If
You
we
will.
if we start with a point deduction, we might actually finish with a minus points tally. So
No,
that'd be
imagine
quite
if
something.
you 11 points. Just imagine that. You might as well call this the 11 points podcast or something.
Yeah, we could rebrand if that happens. I wouldn't mind.
Facts, yeah. No,
We're
I
going
just
we're going for the record. 11 points in every division.
literally there you go. 11 points in every division. Gotta love that. Breaking records everywhere you go. um, obviously for Blues, it's a bit of a baptism of fire. We've got Sheffield United away on our first game. However, whenever we play sides that are destined to do well, we always seem to turn them over. Like every time. You know, the
Yeah, I
past
feel like who did you do it to the other season? You beat away as well.
we beat Brentford for the last
Yeah,
two
that
seasons
was it.
every
Yeah.
day. Yeah, so you know, it's I'd back us. You know, we haven't lost at Bramall Lane for a very long time. We
Can't
have.
say the same for us.
Oh dear, we have a great record at Bramall Lane. A great record at Bramall Lane. So no, I'd back us to be fair to at least get a draw. But that depends on signings for either club. But I think Jukanovic, it's going to be tough because that'll be his first proper game. So it's never easy in your first game.
Yeah, what's it? Bowyer won't make that an easy game for him either to start
No,
with. He'll make that a
100%.
tough game. And
I could see that a 1-1. To be fair,
yeah, to be fair,
right
and
now,
I also know that if Derby end up in League One, we face Accrington on the first game. And
exciting.
I tell you what, to be honest, I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, you visited Accrington like 4 or 3 years ago, anyway. So
I think it was under Lampard. I mean, I didn't go, but
look pretty lit.
to be fair, it looked quite good. I watched it on the telly, but
Wow.
yeah, I remember Waggy and I think Bogle got sent. Oh, that was the John Coleman incident where he
Yeah,
was just
I'm
done with
just falling
football.
out of love with football. Yeah, I
Hopefully,
remember.
more of that if we end up in League One. I can't see it happening, but yeah, we'll get more into that, and that's kind of going to wrap up the video, guys. So I hope you've enjoyed. First podcast of hopefully many to come. Don't know how common they'll be, but let us know if you've watched the whole thing. Let us know your thoughts on all of the topics. And yeah, any feedback would be good. Hit the like button, subscribe, and that's it from me. And then Thomas.
Yeah, that's it from me, really. You know, drop a like, drop a cheeky subscribe if you're feeling kind, and if you've come over from Blues Focus, then keep right on. If you haven't heard of Blues Focus, go check it out. Cheeky subscribe to that too. But yeah, keep an eye out. We've got plenty of ideas coming up at the moment, me and Brandon, for Project Football. And we just want to develop it as much as we can in a short space of time, really, because I mean, we're a bit behind on the content we wanted to produce. Mostly my fault. Um, because I've just had laptop troubles and been very busy, but I've solved the laptop troubles with this beautiful new laptop that I'm speaking to you through right now. So yeah, no, keep an eye out, guys, for any upcoming content, and we'll see you in the next one, really.
See you guys.